Okay, so I had a customer of mine ask me how he can change the curves or adjust the throttle on his, excuse me, on his new Cyclone FPV quad, because it's kind of got a little bit too much thrust for him to get used to. And so the best thing I can do is I'm going to show you kind of here on a demonstration what I did on mine when I first started, and hopefully this will kind of give you an idea of what we're looking for. So the main thing is go ahead and turn your controller on and get to your main screen here where you have your model number. Now mine's just basically Model 3. I haven't titled it or anything, and this has no settings in it that are custom for my particular quads that I fly. But what I want to show you is when you're at this page, go ahead and hit your page button and keep tapping it until you get to your channel monitor, right? And on your channel monitor, when you move your thrust up and down, for example, you're going to see, let's say, -100 when you're at 0. You're going to see, roughly around, I don't know, 0-ish should be when you're in the middle. I haven't calibrated this that much, but when you're at the top, you should see 100s, right? So your range is -100 to +100. Assuming, for example, that when you're looking at your hover point, let's say you're about 25% up, okay, which would be actually -75, but in this case, I'm just going to prop it here. Let's just say that right around 50, I don't know, depending on the quad you've got, let's just say 50-ish, okay? So let's say around this area here is when you start to get your hovering point for your quad. And so you've basically got the quad up, it's hovering, and now what you want to do is you want to kind of limit how quickly it takes off when you punch it a little bit more, or how quickly it comes down when you bring the throttle down. So to do this, you're going to go ahead and set your curves, right? You can also make sure to set your curves so that, for example, when you're at 100% of your throttle, you're not getting 100% of the motor. So in case you're worried about punching it and it's going to be too much, you can adjust it through these curves, and here's how you're going to do it. So you're going to click exit, get back to your main screen, press menu one time, and then you make sure you're at your model. Here I'm selected Model 3. Go ahead and press the page button and keep pressing it until you get to the screen. See if I can get this to just light up a little bit more. No, that's not going to help. See, when you get to the screen that says curves, right? So you're at curves here, and here's CV1 for curves. So in this case, now this is going to be a little different than what I would do down the road, but go ahead and hit enter, and you're going to be into the CV1 option. Here you're going to put your, you can name it, so press enter again, and I don't know, you could just type it as, I guess THR, maybe that makes it easier for you. Here we go, let me just do that real quick, H, and then let's get to R, okay? So here's where we're at now. These are the things I want to pay attention to. This is a 5-point curve. So you have point 1, which is -100, right? Which means when the stick is all the way down, you're at position number 1, okay? The X value shows you here. The Y value is at 0, meaning we're not moving this throttle point right now any different than what its value is. So, for example, you're at 0, on the throttle, -100, you're at 0, which is fine. We're not going to adjust it. And what that means is it's going to give you the true value where you're at. So if you're at 0 on the stick, or -100, if you're all the way down, then you're going to get the actual value of what that equates to on your throttle to your quad. So what we want to do is we want to say, okay, 0 is not bad, right? We have no problem with that. But where we have a problem is when we get to the midpoint. Okay, so what I would do, and this is my recommendation for anybody starting out, is, whoops, let me get out of that. I would go ahead, leave it standard. You can go ahead and leave it at 5 points. I usually add more points, but leave it at 5 points for now, it's fine. Make sure to select smooth, and then go ahead and go to your first point. Now, what I basically do on mine is I say, okay, when I'm at 0, I'm going to drop my throttle all the way down because I want this to be a steady curve, right? So it's going to kind of go and then plateau and then go back up. And I don't know if that's showing in the video, but basically I want it to go like this and then go up, okay? So I'm going to get my full value of my stick down all the way, right? I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to go down to point number 2. Now, what you can do is go straight to point number 3 because this is going to be your hover point. So if this represents your hover point, then you're going to want to take this down to, let's say, when your stick is, let's say, at its midpoint, which would be here, instead of being at 0, we're going to say we want it to be at, let's say, -30 or -40, okay, which should be right around your hover point. which means that when your stick is in 0 position, you should hopefully be around hovering. Now, this number matters to you because you need to kind of see where you're at. This is going to be the value of your hover point, right? So you're going to go ahead and move this and hit enter. And then you're going to go to your next one. Well, what we want to do is we want to determine now when you're at 100%, do you want to be at 100% throttle? If you do, then 100% would look something like this. Okay, but if you want to say that, okay, at my max throttle, I want to be at 60% power, then you would adjust it to 60 here. This means that when this stick goes all the way up, instead of reading a positive 100, you're going to only read a positive 60. You're going to leave 40 out. So you're not going to hit that highest part of your speed. So in that case, I would go ahead and hit enter. And then we're going to go to your number 2 here, your negative 50, right? So at negative 50, what we're going to do is we're going to try to keep like a nice little line here where your midpoints, you're going to kind of go up, and then you're going to kind of take it easy right here, meaning that if you move the stick a lot in this range, you're not going to see that much of a jump. It's just going to be kind of smooth, right? So I don't know, you can probably go a little bit lower, like maybe right here, and then go down to your 0.4 and just kind of bring it down a little bit, and you have this nice little plateau, right? And so then what you're looking at is from 0.4 to 0.5, you've got kind of a jump, okay? And that's if you want to play around a little bit. You can adjust that. You can add more points, and you could have a point in between to kind of still steady it up. But try this, for example. So let's just say for round numbers, we did, I don't know, let me bring this down just a little bit or bring it up. We'll keep it at 50. So negative 50, 50. So basically going to hit like this, kind of plateau, and then go up, right? So now here's what it's going to look like. So if you click exit now, and get exit and go back, right? And you get back to your main screen. You hit menu again and press page, and keep pressing it until you get to your inputs page, right? Which is right here. Go down to throttle. Sorry, it's already selected. Hit enter and hold it and press enter again on edit. And this time go ahead and go to curves and hit enter. And switch it up to where it says custom, hit enter, move the arrow to go to the custom field and drop it down. And actually you don't want the exclamation point because that's reversed. You want the opposite. So there you go. There's your throttle, right? So go ahead and enter, and now you've got your curve set to play with. So here's what it's going to look like now though. So at 0%, it's stick down all the way, I'm at negative 100. But if you notice, I don't know if you can see that very well. Let me see if I can zoom in. Okay, so watch how quickly, let me move this camera. So watch how quickly the jump is, right? So let me zoom out because you need to see the throttle move as well. Okay, so if I can get this right. All right, so here you go. So if you watch the number there, you see how it jumps pretty quickly, right? So it'll go very quickly from negative 100 to negative, let's say, 52, 50, whatever that was. So right here, but then from here on up, you're moving incrementally. So you can't slam it. And then at maximum, you're at 60. So you can see now that right here is your smoothest transition in this middle area, right? Once you get used to this, you can adjust your curves to go a little more extreme. My setting curves go straight up at a 45-degree angle, ideally for when I fly. But if you want to get used to where your quad will hover and you don't want to be hitting this throttle stick too much and seeing a huge jump, then you would adjust it accordingly like this. But just remember, like once you get to this spot, you have pretty quick movement above it, but you only can max out at 60 and not 100. All right, I hope that helps, man. Let me know if you need anything else. See ya.